Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 19th of February 2024. So, this morning over breakfast, Lorraine was having a little bit of a moan. There was an article. I'm not really going to go into any details about what this article was about specifically, but suffice to say it was woke nonsense. Yeah, we all know what these woke people tend to go on about, and the ridiculous kind of stories that emerge from time to time surrounding wokeness. And all that I said to Lorraine, because she was getting a bit hot under the collar about it, so all I said to her was, as far as these woke people are concerned, just remember that the people who come out with this kind of thing are exactly the same kind of people who a few years ago wanted to look the likes of us up for not partaking in a particular experiment. These people were sort of calling us all sorts of names. They were sort of saying that we should be discriminated against, that we should be excluded from certain aspects or even all aspects of society. And the more extreme ones, we're talking about forced interventions and even being locked up, showing themselves to be the absolute hypocrites they are. Because these people, they're supposed to be all about equality and tolerance and accepting of all sort of peoples and all sorts of beliefs, but no, they kind of all of that went out the window when it came to that particular thing. So they are complete hypocrites, and as far as I'm concerned, that really negates their opinions and their nonsense and these sort of stories that come out. I'm sorry, but you showed yourselves up to be, like I say, hypocrites. You're not consistent, and you only come out with the kind of thing that you come out with when it suits you and when it suits your agenda. And when it doesn't, well, you don't appear to be very tolerant as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, that is the attitude I have now. When I see these stories, I just think, yeah, right, just go away, not interested. And one of the many anomalies over the last 4 years, of course, is these ultra-left sort of woke types. They absolutely loved the restrictive practices and things that a Conservative government led by Boris Johnson brought in. And when you sort of bear in mind that these woke people are supposed to absolutely hate Johnson, particularly Johnson, but the Conservatives generally as well, but they had really had it in for Johnson because of his stance on Brexit and that kind of thing. And yet when they brought in their sort of lockdowns and their mandates and all of the rest of it, instead of what you'd think they'd do, use anything to attack a Conservative government and say, no, this is sort of going against freedoms, this is going against tolerance, this is going against fairness for all, etc., that these people are supposed to really love and really want. No, they were sort of 100% on board with these draconian practices that the Conservative government engaged upon. And that is one thing that I found to be extremely peculiar, and one of the things really that led me to believe that there's stuff going on here, that there's more to this than meets the eye. There's more stuff going on than what you think there is, and really these people are all in cahoots with each other. They're all singing off the same hymn sheet, whatever way you want to describe it, and there's not really any difference between them at all. There's no difference between the Conservative Party, even the more sort of right-wing elements of the Conservative Party, and the far left of the Labour Party. They're just all sort of in it. I know the phrase uni party has been coined in the last few years. You literally just can't get a cigarette paper between the two of them. Both of them look exactly the same, with very minor differences. And of course, if you're watching this, you're probably well aware of this. You might have been well aware of it for a long time. It was brought into sharp focus, though, during the last 4 years. And here in the UK, we're facing a general election at some point this year. Not quite sure when they'll do it, but the Conservative Party are going to almost certainly, barring some kind of miracle, lose heavily. And therefore, I think that Sunak, the Prime Minister, will probably sort of take it down to the wire and leave the election as long as he possibly can. Could be wrong on that. Normally we have elections in the spring, so yeah, they probably want to bring it back to the spring ideally, because they then get a higher turnout in the sort of nice May weather, rather than sort of November, December sort of weather. And turnout is what they want, really. Voter turnout is what they want, because it legitimizes the system. So ideally they'd like to have it in May, but I can't see it happening in May. I think it's probably going to be maybe not quite as late as December, which is what they could take it down to officially, but it might be October. That's what I'm going to plump for. Could be wrong, but anyway, when it comes to the election, we've got the unfortunate choice in this country of continuing with this absolutely awful Conservative government that we've been stuck with for 4.5 years, and with all of their sort of draconian lockdowns and everything else, either them or the extremely woke, nonsensical Labour Party under Starmer, Keir Starlin, and their sort of wokeness, and they wanted the Conservative Party to lock down, when it came to that, even harder and even sooner than they actually did. So really, it's an absolutely awful choice, and it's either voting for a party that is woke, Conservatives, or a party that's very, 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 very woke, the Labour Party. And I don't want any kind of wokeness at all, thank you very much. So yeah, when it comes to election time, I'm probably going to be just completely disenfranchised, to be honest with you. I've been seeing a few videos by Nigel Watson recently, and he was saying that when it comes to elections, and he's not the only one who says this in the freedom movement, there's a lot of other people as well, they say your best course of action really is not to vote for anyone, to not even turn up at the polling station, because it sort of delegitimizes the whole system. Yeah, you could go there and spoil your ballot, but the amount of people doing that is quite hard to quantify. You'd have to do a fair bit of digging. If you had a sort of a turnout of, let's say, 40,000 people, but the Labour guy got sort of 15,000 votes, and the Conservative and the other parties got sort of 10,000 votes, you might turn around and say, well, hang on a minute, that must mean there's 15,000 people who spoiled the votes. But That's not very transparent, that figure, whereas the voter turnout figures are headline figures, very transparent and normally reported on by the mainstream media. And they might say, oh yeah, the Labour Party won, but there was only like a 40% voter turnout, which would be absolutely appalling, and it would really delegitimise a Labour government or a Conservative government, even any government, because with that level of turnout, you could say, well, hang on a minute, this isn't really democratic. You might have won that election, but 60% of people didn't even sort of turn out to vote for you or for anyone. So I don't think you're heading up a legitimate system, and therefore I don't think your sort of laws and your acts of parliament, etc., are legitimate. And you could put up a very, very strong argument on that. So that is one of the options I'm going to be facing or looking at when we get to the election. I might look at other options as well. Don't know yet, but it's not going to be an easy one. And I think whatever government we end up with is going to be horrendous. What I would like to see, regardless of whether I actually vote or not myself, is hung parliament. And I'm hoping that the Liberal Party will take quite a lot of votes away from Labour on the left. The Reform Party will take quite a lot of votes away from the Conservative Party on the right. No one will get an overall majority, and then we'll either be looking at a Labour government with their hands tied by Liberal coalition partners, or the Conservatives, same with Reform Party sort of coalition partners, which mean that they can't get up to nearly the amount of shenanigans they'd really like to. But anyway, even that isn't ideal as far as I'm concerned. I really don't know. I'm just feeling really disenfranchised, really. I don't know about you. I seem to have started on one discussion and then migrated over to something else, as is my way sometimes when I let my thoughts run. But tell me what you think. Are you feeling disenfranchised if you're in the UK, or even if you're anywhere, in fact? Do leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll leave you to it. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.